Somewhere, thousands of years ago, a human put something in their mouth, waited a little while, and became the first person in history to feel tipsy. They had no idea what was happening to them. No word for drunk, no concept of alcohol. The world just went soft and warm and strange. So who was that person? And how on earth did humans figure out how to do this on purpose, long before we understood the first thing about the science behind it? The answer goes back way, way further than you'd think. Further than farming. Further than humans. Here's the thing about alcohol. Nobody had to invent it. It invents itself. Out in nature, a piece of fruit falls off the tree and tiny wild yeast that live on the skin start eating the sugar inside. As they feed, they give off two things, bubbles of gas and alcohol. That's all fermentation is. Sugar plus yeast equals booze. It's happening on rotting fruit in a forest somewhere right now, which means the very first drink wasn't brewed by anyone. It was just a piece of overripe fruit lying on the ground, quietly turning boozy in the sun. And animals found it. To this day, you can catch creatures getting genuinely drunk in the wild. Birds that crash into windows after gorging on fermented berries. Mammals stumbling around under fruit trees. Our ape ancestors would have run into the exact same thing. Sweet, fizzy, slightly rotten fruit on the forest floor that made them feel funny. And here's the wild part. Your body is still carrying the proof. Around 10 million years ago, our ancestors picked up one tiny change to a single digestive enzyme, and suddenly they could break down alcohol about 40 times better than before. That mutation shows up right around the time they came down from the trees and started eating fruit off the ground. In other words, we were adapting to alcohol millions of years before we ever made a single drop of it. We were drinkers before we were even people. So by the time actual humans came along, the taste for fermented fruit was already baked into us. Somebody somewhere noticed that fruit left a little too long did something pleasant to your head. And then came the real leap. The discovery that you could make it happen on purpose. And this is where it gets genuinely strange. Because when archaeologists went looking for the oldest evidence of humans deliberately brewing alcohol, what they found flipped a huge assumption about civilization completely on its head. In a cave in what's now Israel, scientists found the residue of beer brewed about 13,000 years ago. The oldest known alcohol on Earth. And the people who made it weren't farmers. They were hunter-gatherers. They were brewing beer before humans had really settled down to grow crops at all. Over in China, around 9,000 years ago, people were mixing up a fermented drink of rice, honey, and fruit. All over the ancient world, the same pattern keeps showing up. Alcohol appears right at the dawn of civilization, again and again, which led some scientists to a jaw-dropping question. We've always assumed humans settled down and invented farming because we were hungry. We wanted bread. But what if that's backwards? What if one of the reasons humans first planted grain in the ground wasn't to make bread at all, but to make beer? Picture it. The urge to gather, drink, and celebrate together may have been one of the sparks that pulled us out of the wandering life and into villages, farms, and everything that came after. We didn't just stumble onto alcohol. Alcohol may have helped build the world. So who got drunk first? We'll never know their name. Probably some curious soul who ate the fruit everyone else threw away, felt the world tilt, and lived to tell the others. But that one accident, sugar meeting yeast, noticed by a curious mind, runs through everything. Our biology, our history, maybe even the birth of civilization itself. Not bad for a piece of rotten fruit. So next time you raise a glass, remember you're doing something almost unimaginably ancient. A habit older than farming, older than writing, older than our species itself.